Hello, it's me.
What is going on, YouTube? So good to see you. So good to see you again. I hope all of you are doing well. Um, I saw this video on my feed. It says Trump admin secures major legal win in Portland, vindicated. So it's a really good title. Again, we've been getting so much watch time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so good that you guys want to watch. And if you do watch to the very end, it does help out a ton. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment if you feel like it, and let's get into the video.
Major win for President Trump after a federal appeals court rules the administration can deploy the National Guard in Portland, Oregon.
We knew that. We knew that. He could claim it under the Insurrection Act because insurrection is a violence against government authority, and ICE is government authority. So just by violent protest and the police being unwilling to detain him, he has a 100% constitutional right on the insurrection, which that is exactly what that is. By definition, that's what it is. But he can also call them for 5 other reasons. Portland's been burning for 100 days, etc.
With the latest, hey Rich.
Hey, good morning, Ainsley, Lawrence, and Brian. Well,
that shouldn't even be a question.
Reverses a lower court ruling that had blocked the deployment to Oregon. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem writing in a statement, quote, "Another victory for President Trump and the safety and security of the American people. The law, U.S. Constitution, and Supremacy Clause back the president's action to protect the public and law enforcement, and today this ruling has vindicated us."
That's one of his primary powers.
Violence and protests at an ICE facility in Portland as justification for President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard there.
Under insurrection.
To burn down the building and breach the front doors, and protesters throwing rocks, sticks, and fireworks at federal officers.
Violence towards the government.
In Oregon say police there have handled the protests and arrested those who've broken the law.
And hear me good. I don't want to watch any of you guys getting hurt. Violence is never acceptable, ever, against government officials. We know in the Bible that God says that all powers that be, all kings, all queens, all positions of power and authority under the land have been given power by God for God's purpose and God's glory. Even bad kings, as there were tons of them in the Bible. But God has a plan for each and every one of these. Don't be caught doing violent things to the government, because here's what you have to realize. The government has the authority and the power to end you if they deem it necessary. Now, they're being extremely held back and reserved. At any point, the government could decide, you know what, ICE agents, we're tired of getting thrown. We're tired of getting rocks thrown and bombs thrown at us and Molotov cocktails and people burning things, people trying to assault us and spit on us. You know what? If someone does, you're allowed to use live ammunition. You deter them. You shoot them in the leg. Whatever you have to do, you protect yourself. You go home and see your family. They would have the right to do that, especially if someone's attacking an officer. Assault is anything such as spitting. It could be words that are considered in litigation as fighting words. It is legal to defend yourself from fighting words. Someone threatening you and has the intent to carry it out. You can get away doing stuff like that. It's in our law. Also, like if you throw a rock or anything, like they have the right to attack you. And I pray that they don't. I don't want to see anyone hurt. But sometimes low IQ people get low IQ. I mean, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. It is what it is. And I'm glad to see them dragging people off and being a little more forceful, because I think they've held back way too much. These people are out of control.
Says that, quote, Oregon remains united in the fight against this
person,
military
man, there's no helping her.
We will continue to show up for our neighbors, make our voices heard, and use our collective power to protect communities and our democracy. And there are more court fights ahead. Illinois officials have sued to stop the president's National Guard deployment to Chicago. Meanwhile, the president is touting new FBI statistics, writing, quote, "Since January 20th, more than 28,000 violent criminals have been arrested, record-breaking, with over 6,000 illegal weapons seized, more than 1,700 child predators, and 300 human traffickers taken off the streets, 5,000 innocent children rescued, 2,000 criminal enterprises disrupted, 1,900 kilos of fentanyl, enough to kill 125 million people.
Yeah, dude. I don't think you understand how big that is. Here's the thing. Democrats, Republicans, both. I'm talking to everyone. Here's the thing. If criminals are coming into the country Well, then let's deport them. Well, the Democrats are like, we shouldn't be deporting any illegals. Okay. I understand that you think that's coming from a good place, but that's actually coming from a bad place. And a lot of the people who feel this way aren't having illegals in their house, in their neighborhood, killing their people. They're basically exempt from it. So they say, let's save all the immigrants. But the reality is, when illegals are deported, fentanyl is seized and fentanyl is taken off the streets. When the illegals come, fentanyl comes. When the illegals come, drugs come, weapons come. All of this illegal activity, murders go through the roof. The reality is we can't decide between, or we can't weed out, okay, these immigrants are good and these immigrants are bad, because they're all undocumented. But we do know, and we have data, that when we deport aggressively, drug deaths go down exponentially. Violent murder, armed robbery, assault, it all goes way down. So it is a correlation that the more immigrants we have illegal, the more deaths, murder, violent crimes we have. It also is a statistic that when immigrants are deported, even though there may be good, I'll give you that. I know a couple of illegal immigrants that own landscaping businesses down here, and they're wonderful, and they have wonderful children, and I pray for them. But the reality is they're illegal and they're breaking the law. I'm not going to call services on them because, frankly, I don't know where they live. But the reality is they're still here, and they're good people. And I'll pray that the Lord looks out for them, but it may need to be in Mexico. It may not need to be here, and that's fine. We're under the law of the land, and the law of the land says they're illegal. Pray for them, love them. Doesn't change anything, but they are illegal. So that be what it be.
The president credited his FBI leadership with these new statistics.
We should want to save people. That's the thing. So that's a nonpartisan deal.
Permanent, we'll find out. But no movement in Chicago. All right, thanks, Rich.
So our U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro in the D.C. area, she just charged 2 more people for the attack on that DOJ employee, Edward Correstein. Remember the 2 15-year-olds were arrested?
How are you going to get mad enough to attack someone? Look at him.
Well, now 2 more have
they
also
wrecked
been
him.
arrested. But one is a repeat offender, 19 years old, and Judge Jeanine is blasting these judges who are freeing these suspects. Listen.
On July 24th, he is sentenced to one of the 2 misdemeanors that he's charged with. Again, my office asked for jail time after he victimized yet another person. And on July 25th...
Chat, run with this with me, okay? You get someone who attacks and almost murders someone, okay? We say, it's not wrong. You only get a couple of months, a year of probation. Yeah, you're fine. And then let's say he goes after the same person he attacked. What do you think he's going to do next time? Is it going to be assault or is it going to be murder? Is he going to bring a gun? You see what I'm saying? In no way is crime to be a slap on the wrist for any type of crime. Like Trump's whole premise and God's whole premise a lot of times is when God decides to attack, it is complete and total destruction. And Trump is the same way, peace through strength. You want to hit them so hard that it is impossible for them to get up or retaliate. You want to hit them with so much overwhelming force that it's cataclysmic. And that's what I think we need to do with crime, because when you do that, crime has been shown to go down almost non-existently. There'll always be some criminals because there are some low IQ people in this world who play dumb games. They get dumb prizes. But the reality is these soft on crime policies are killing Americans. So the judges that release each one of these, believe it or not, in God's kingdom, whether they claim Christianity or not, they are responsible for the sin of that murder as if they had committed it themselves. When you cause another to stumble, you're responsible for that sin, it says. So I hate to see it, but there's going to be a lot of people dining with Satan. There's going to be a lot of them are going to be judges. I don't want it to happen. I'll pray for them every day, but if they continue, that's exactly where they're going.
Another judge suspends his sentence and decides that
negligence.
He should be on probation.
Oh, Lord.
So after a felony of attempted robbery conviction,
Could have turned
after a
into
violation
murder.
of probation,
Yeah.
after a second crime, after a second conviction,
Oh, Lord.
after no compliance with C. Sosa,
Come on.
the judges say do better and they let him go.
Let's impeach
And
the
guess
judges.
what?
Let's get rid of them.
Within 10 days, he's at it again.
Imagine
with
that.
Ethan Levine and Edward Corson.
Almost killed him. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So it's Lawrence Cotton Powell, and he's 19.
It makes you think, like, what's the worst that can happen to me if I rob a bank, right? What's the worst that can happen to me if I attack the liberal ladies that yell at people and cause a nuisance in the Walmart, right? What's the worst that can happen? Maybe a little probation. You know, I'll just knock her teeth out and give her a black eye and throw her to the ground, right? I'll only get a year of jail time. It'll be fine. Or I'll get a slap on the wrist probation. No big deal. It incentivizes you to do more because the people you don't like, now you have an out. It's not that bad. Yeah, that's soft on crime does not work. It never has.
And they're talking about 18-year-old Anthony Taylor. Those are 2 of 10 who attacked the Doge employee. So he's got beaten. You can see the picture of him. He got beat senseless and protecting his girlfriend, put her in the car, and they got beat up by 10
God,
guys.
and he's
The
a young
15-year-olds
guy.
are out. See what happens to the
And
19, 18
look how
year olds
buff
who are
he
not
is. I
minors
mean,
now.
look how buff he is, and I mean, he got his butt handed to him, so we know he's strong. I mean, he's got muscle on muscle. So that guy had to have beaten the sense out of him.
But they don't prosecute anyone or keep anybody in jail in D.C.
Can you imagine?
Why can criminals get away scot-free?
Think tanks continue to say these kids want to be reformed. They want to be reformed. They just need an opportunity.
No, they don't.
And
These are
within
killers.
10 days, he's back on the street going after someone else. Are they nuts? I mean,
Yeah,
what
they
happened
are.
to the judges?
They are godless.
protecting society?
Not anymore.
You reject the bill,
The judges have turned their back on God, and God has cursed them.
and you say, you know what, this guy's a threat. He can go after me and my kids, someone down the street. But instead of doing that, after the recommendation of the state, which has said we want him locked up, we're speaking for the people of the country right now. We believe he should be remanded without bail. And these judges are totally dismissing that because of some type of experiment. I'm all for getting kids a second shot. Worked in juvenile court for a while, and
There's
saw
a
some
difference,
kids,
though.
they
These
did
kids are
turn their life
murderers.
around. But I never saw a kid turn their life around without punishment.
Right.
Punishment has to happen.
It has
to be
to.
a breaking point and this epiphany where they say, look, man, I don't want to be locked up anymore. I want to turn my life around. But they're not even granting us that.
I just think maybe
Look,
these judges.
When I go and look at other people's kids, right? In church, I can tell the parents that discipline their kids, beat them, and I can tell their parents who don't. I can literally see the difference in the kids. I can point it out to you, and when you ask the parents, I'm right 100% of the time. The reality is, if you do not spank your kid is rotten to the core, and his soul is the devil's. No doubt about it. And you're a terrible parent for not spanking your kids, period. It says in the Bible, spare the rod, spoil the child. I mean, there's something to that. Solomon, who said that, was given the wisdom of God. He was the son of David. And David committed sin, but even God, through his sin, said David was a man after God's own heart. Solomon was given the wisdom of God. He was the most wise man to ever walk the earth. And in his book, Proverbs, he speaks specifically of that. And so I can tell you in real time the difference. There's a bunch of people who don't spank their kids who are friends of mine, and their kids are terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Now, my kid does bad things, but I beat the tar out of him. I do, and it's fair. And when I say beat the tar out of him, I'm not abusing my child by any means. But when my child breaks a window or does a baseball bat in the door or talks back to his mother, that is unacceptable. It will never happen again, and I'll make sure of it. And that is fair, that is right, and that is of my religion. I will not spare the rod, and because of it, everywhere we go, they compliment my child every single time. I've never been anywhere where someone did not come to us and say, he is so good, how do y'all do it? And I'll say, well, I'm glad you aren't seeing behind closed doors because it's not pretty. But punishment does work, to his point. It does,
He had personal
absolutely.
experience and what it's like being victim of a crime. You see Brian Robinson, former running back with Washington Redskins. He gets randomly beat up, or they try to steal his car. He gets shot when he tries to resist. And then you have the Doge employee, countless other people. They are victims or threaten to be victims or moved out When you are personally impacted.
Well, here's the thing. If they can do it, why can't I do it? Right? Why don't we all just run into anarchy? Right? Because that's what's happening. It's legal anarchy. If they can go and beat up someone they don't like, why can't I? And why can't I beat up my political opponents? Right? If we do the same to them that they do to us, all of a sudden there's no more Democrats. But we don't play that way. We don't do that. Our faith tells us not to do that. So by God's grace and glory, we've held our hand. We've reserved punishment. And I think now it's time to punish. And these judges need to get a clue. What's coming is something not even they're ready for. And I'm afraid it's closer than we think. I'm very scared at the society that we're in right now. It is a complete and godless, lawless society.
Acted like so many in Washington, D.C. around the position of power, or you have a different view.
Yeah.
It looks
Not
like
that
these
we wish
judges.
that
It's
for any
okay to have a
judges,
different
but
view. It's not okay
you
to
do
be
have a different
godless.
view when you've been a victim.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to understand.
Because believe it or not, you don't have to be a Christian to be godless. What I'm talking about is being lawless. Godless and lawless are the same thing, right? So I'm talking specifically about people who murder and think it's okay, people who attack those they disagree with and think it's okay, people who hurt children, people who try and transition children. These abomination, detestable sins to the Lord. Whether you believe in Christianity or not, there's a lot of people, if you follow the law of the America, if you follow a law of America, you will land in Christian morality for the most part. We don't agree with gay marriage. We don't agree with transitioning. We're not going to stop people who do. That's their sin between them and God. I have no place in that. But at the same time, don't agree with it. And if you believe that hurting people is wrong, then you fall under God's law. That's what God commands us to do, not to hurt with violence. God tells us to hold our tongue accountable and things of that nature. The government does a lot of the similar things like don't murder, don't steal, don't kill, all those things. So I'm talking about people who are completely lawless, these kids who are beating people up, killing people, robbing people, stealing. And this guy that did beat up these guys and then was released 10 days later, and did it again. Lord have mercy. It's the same thing. These people are godless. I should say lawless instead of godless because I don't want to seem like I'm a Christian that looks down on others. I'm definitely not. It's just the reality is you will be judged by the fruit you bear. That's what's in the Bible. You will be judged by the fruit you bear. And the fruit of lawlessness is also the fruit of godlessness. I'll just call it lawlessness then.
There's another side.
Right.
First
I'm not
thing you have
better
to
than
do is
anyone, for
protect
sure.
people.
I'm worse
The
than most
second thing
people.
you have to do is you could work on rehabilitation, but they have to be incarcerated.
Well, even the police officers are frustrated. The Metro Police
Of
chief
course they are.
said
Can't do
in
their
this
job.
room, I assume talking to all the police officers.
They'll see 'em on the
saying,
street again,
in
yeah.
this room, y'all know we keep arresting the same individuals.
Every
and they become
time.
familiar. These police officers have a precinct.
It's like, hey, Larry,
with who the
you
worst
back
of
to
the worst are
robbing
in
the
their
bar?
neighborhood,
Yep.
And they're getting
Okay,
rearrested
come on.
and let out again.
Time to go.
Rearrested and let out again.
Such a good point.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News
All right.
Patriot.
I don't want to become a Fox News patriot. I just appreciate them letting me watch the video. But anyway, that's a lot of rainy stuff, guys. And like I said, not everyone is Christian. Not everyone is believes the way I do, and that's okay. I want people to disagree with me. I want people to sharpen me and have differing opinions, and I also want to talk to them about it. Because when only my opinion prevails and everyone just agrees with me, it becomes an echo chamber. And sometimes you can get off on the wrong path. We know that not one is good in the Bible, it says. So not even I'm good, even though I claim to be good. I'm not. The reality is we don't want an echo chamber. We want opposing beliefs, and we need to be respectful and hear those, even if they're insane, and then give justification. This is why we don't believe this or do this, and back up our claims. For me, it's Christianity. The Bible, believe it or not, our actual society, America, was founded on Christian principles, period. There's no debating that. The fact that stealing is wrong, where does that come from? The Bible. Where does murder come from being wrong? God's command. And we were foundationally created on Christian values. And so what we're trying to do now with society is say, now the government is God, and our morality comes from the state and government. And that's what liberals are all about. Democrat, letting the state be your God. But I'm not okay with that. And it's one of those things. I would love to talk more if someone has a differing opinion. Again, let's be respectful, because I definitely want to hear what you guys think. But anyway, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched to the end, make sure to leave me a comment saying I watched the whole video. It really does help. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace.